Hey everybody, it is time once again for the weekly Rahdo Recap, and this time, folks, I'm coming to you from the middle of the Bay of Conception. We are here for one more day, and we have hit the waves, as I promised on previous. In fact, you can see Jen is actually doing all the work. I am just being very, very careful not to capsize the whole thing so I don't drown my phone and this microphone. But anyway, we're heading over to that little Pelican Island over there where the pelicans seem to hang out just to see what's going on. This is our last day here. But folks, again, this is not a weekly travelogue. This is me just telling you about all of the videos that went up on the channel over the last week, went up on other people's channels that I think are really great, and how about some new games that I might have learned about that you would want to know as well. Right, okay, well, let's get going then, starting with a couple of exclusives in case you are a backer of the show, either on Patreon or here on YouTube as a member. I did a quick Rahdo Recluse of Decula, which is a sweet, charming little solo-only card game. It's just a deck of cards that tells the story of a vampire trying to deal with invaders and have a good old time. It's quick, it's sharp, very popular. There's a lot of folks on Board Game Geek who really dig it. I thought it was nice. But a little unsimple, and what it really needs is a solid scoring system. But if you'd like to see it in action, it's available to everybody as a thank you to help keep Rahdo running. And then the other exclusive this week was Rebuilding Seattle. Now, this was me and Jen playing through an entire game of this wonderful tile layer that recently made my top 10 games of the year. It's because it was in my top 10, I figured I should go on ahead and release it to all the backers of the show, whereas before it was an exclusive just for higher level backers. Rebuilding in Seattle is awesome. Jen and I absolutely adore it. And yeah, those are what you can see if you support the show financially. Thank you again. But everybody got some videos as well. First of all, Shay did a run through of Dune Imperium Uprising. Now, I actually covered the original Dune Imperium a couple of years ago. I was happy for Shay to show what's new. And I just got to set the record straight. So many people have commented on that video saying, oh, what a ripoff this is. It just completely invalidates my original Dune Imperium and my investment and all that. And like, folks, this is a standalone expansion. All the content of Uprising, the worms and the spies and whatnot, they all work in the original Dune Imperium. And if you'd like to see it in action, Shay does a great job. Also, Kimberly did a run through for Flip Town, which made her top 10 of the year. A neat little roll and write, or flip and write, because you're flipping cards that are poker cards, trying to make good poker hands while also doing a lot of cool roll and write spreadsheet stuff. Honey, are you literally rocking the boat? Nope. All right. Oh, the waves, folks, the waves. Anyway, looks like Jen has taken a break for a second. We are almost there. Anyway, what else? All right, this one's very cool. Ruel did a run through for the Field of Cloth and Gold, which is from Hollandspiel. And this, you gotta check it out, folks. It is a competitive game of gift giving, where we're trying to be the best at giving each other gifts in this set collection thing. Really neat. You've never heard of this game, but it is well worth checking out. Okay, so that's not all. I am also on my channel. I did a rapid review of The Loop Fur Brigade. The Loop is in my top 10 favorite co-op games of all time, and this is just a simple little expansion that's a couple new playable characters and a bunch of new cards. It's great. I kind of sum it up really quick. Oh, Grant. Folks, it's a New Year miracle. I don't know if you knew, Grant Lyon, who does the monthly Grant's Greatest Games, and he's put up a new one. His channel had been shut down for like 2 weeks by YouTube. And in fact, you'll notice he looks a little grumpy in that picture. But right before we posted this, he got the news, and so he updated everybody. I think you've heard it here first on the channel, that his channel is back, Grant's Game Rex, and it's absolutely fantastic. And as always, he does a great job telling you about new videos that are worth checking out, or new games. His number 2, I don't know how I missed it, but I am definitely seeking yeah, I got to contact the publisher and see if I can get a copy myself. Grant does a great job as always. And then finally, folks, of course, I should have led with this. I did my top 10 most anticipated games for 2024. And that's just the beginning, folks. I talked about 10 amazing looking games, but later on this week, Twitch Tuesday at twitch.rahdo.com at noon Pacific, we will be live streaming even more anticipated games on the next episode of the R&R show. So folks, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss that live stream. Oh, we're just getting started. But anyway, folks, that's what was up on our channel. Now, let's talk about other people's channels, while first saying hi to that stork over there. I don't even know if I'm showing you the island that we were trying to get to. It's actually more just a little rock. But anyway, folks, other people do things on board games as well, and I like quite a few of them. And here's a few I liked. One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason did a run-through for Daybreak, and I thought it was awesome. I think he pretty much does just as good a job running through stuff as we do on the channel, and I had a great time watching this latest Matt Leacock co-op game that's basically, what if Terraforming Mars was a co-op game about saving the world using new breakthroughs in technology? That sounds pretty cool, right? Daybreak looks very cool, and Jason shows why. Then Danny of the Board Game Sanctuary did his top 2-player only games, and this was so charming. He talked a lot about experiences playing these 2-player games in various places with his husband, and he had some ones I definitely agree with, some I hadn't played. I thought it was a fantastic video. Scott Nicholson, the grandfather of board game media. We all owe so much to Scott. He is back with his first video in months. It's called Dice Shenanigans. He was just basically kind of opining on the use of dice in board games, including a game I'd never heard of from back in the early 80s that does something so cool with dice that he says, and I agree, board game publishers should study it and bring the idea back in it because it needs a new, cool, modern design. So that's Scott Nicholson with his Dice Shenanigans. Then, Actual Law hit 100,000 subscribers, folks. I have to admit, normally I try to showcase smaller channels in my weekly recaps, which is why you don't ever hear me talking about Dice Tower stuff. Dice Tower has enough people viewing, but I had to give a shout out to Actual Law for hitting 100,000 subscribers. Welcome to the club, and is absolutely phenomenal. And so as a way to celebrate, he did the 11 chapters that made me, and as always, it was hilarious, entertaining, a lot of really good game info and personal info. I highly recommend the 11 chapters that made me. And then one last one. Folks, I know I promised last week I was done with 2023 top 10s, but Kimberly did one, Tabletop Tolson. So I'm throwing a shout out to that too. It was a great list, especially because one of the games that made my, I haven't played it, so I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to come back in a half a year. Kimberly did play it, and it made her list, so it made me feel more confident about my list. Okay, folks, so that was a bunch of other people's channels. Now, let me tell you about some new games you might be interested while Jen continues. We've left the Pelicans behind. I don't know where we're going, but I gotta wrap this up because I have my, as you can see, I actually have a paddle too here, and I should also be paddling. But before we get to that, honey, you're doing great. Okay, right, new games that appeared on Board Game Geek that have gone on my wish list. I'm very interested in all of these. First of all, Quayside. Richard Breese is back with a new key game, and I'm always up for that. Not much info as always, but apparently this is a dice worker placement game where when I place my die in a port to say that's where my ship is going, other players can jump on my ship as well. So it's dice worker placement where everybody can use the same action. So that sounds really, really cool to me. Then there's Rajas of the Ganges, Cards and Karma. Inca and Marcus Brand are back. Haven't seen them for quite a while. There's a boat out there. Oh, we're gonna get some waves, folks. That boat is going very quick. Jen is turning into the waves. Anyway, oh man, I really need to stop this, but we're almost done, honey pie. Rajas of the Ganges, Cards and Karma. This is basically kind of a card game version of Rajas of the Ganges. Oh, I'm starting to feel it. And it sounds really cool because each card that you can draft is two-sided. One is a die face, like the original Rajas of the Ganges. The other is an action or a building or something like that. So you got to make tough choices. Do I want the die or do I want the thing on the other side of the card? Plus, apparently, threes can become multi-use co-workers, according to the description. That all sounds very, very cool. Then we've got Clans and Glory. Oh, this is exciting because the design team is Leo Colavini and Gabriel Bubola. And I don't know really Gabriel's work very well, except for the other time he collaborated with Leo Colavini, who is an old school designer, has been around a lot. They worked together a couple of years ago on Old London Bridge, which was phenomenal. One of the most sadly overlooked flying under the radar games that everybody should check out. And if this is their sequel from a different publisher this time, Clans and Glory, about a Scottish Highlands clan assembly and trying to get influence with the clans, I don't know. I just know Old London Bridge was phenomenal. So I'm excited about Clans and Glory. Then there is War Story, Occupied France. I need to switch hands. My arm is getting tired. Alrighty, what is this one? Oh, right, Dave Neal and Dave Thompson. An interesting collaboration. Dave Neal does a lot of narrative games. He did, many years ago when I did Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, I used one of his fan-made adventures, so I wouldn't spoil the main game. His fan-made adventures went on to become real official expansions for the game. And then he's done a bunch of unlock games as well. So he's really strong in narrative and puzzle design, and he's teaming up with David Thompson, who, amongst other things, is the co-designer of Undaunted. So, an incredible, and other ones, War Chest, is several games. So, this is a great team up, and it's a cooperative narrative World War II game about fighting in the French resistance, doing espionage spy stuff. It sounds really, really cool. And again, that is an amazing collaboration. Then another collaboration. Polaris has Simone Luciani, who's in my top 10 favorite designers of all time, teaming up with Andrea Manini, who did several games, including Way of the Panda. Oh, Jen says, look, birds are coming. I'm going to try and pan so you can see the birds fly by in a second while I continue to talk. Are they going? I can't see. My screen is almost completely, I think I just went by. Okay, so anyway, what was this? What is, right, oh, Andrea Manini did Way of the Panda. I thought Way of the Panda was pretty cool. But anyway, Polaris is a new game. It is an abstract constellation building game. Apparently on your turn, you either draw a card or play a card or score cards. Really simple, really straightforward. But the description talks about making connections. So I'm hoping you lay these cards out to make strings of constellations. There's no pictures yet, of course. As this is way early, but hey, anything Simone Luciani does, I gotta check out. And Way of the Panda was really cool too. Okay, I know people have been saying, what about Wyrmspan? What about Wyrmspan? Yes, Wyrmspan. Everybody heard about Wyrmspan. I would love to play this for you. It's the sequel to Wingspan with a bunch of really cool new mechanisms, like exploring instead of just being able to claim territory for your dragons instead of birds. Baby dragons who can grow up. Basically, your eggs can hatch now. There's a bunch of really cool ideas that, I'd love to see in Wingspan someday. But you know what? Everybody knows about that. And don't worry, folks. It will be covered on the channel. I can't get my copy down here in Mexico, but apparently it is easy to send copies to Australia. So Amy and Maggie have a copy. They'll be covering it later in the month, and I'll talk about it when I get out of Mexico in a few months. But Wyrmspan is a big deal. But actually, folks, more importantly, I have to revisit an entry from last month. Tapestry, Revised, Adjusted, Rebalanced Civilization Pack. I mentioned this last week, and I made a mistake. I said, oh, it's just a collection of all the little tweaks and whatnot that have been done over the years, changing the starting values and whatnot. No, this is actually, in a lot of cases, big changes, radical redesigns to almost every single civilization in Tapestry. So this is a lot more than what I said last week, and it got me so excited that, folks, I've already ordered my copy. $16 plus $10 for shipping means by the time I get back home in a few months, I cannot wait to bust this out and see how one of the best civilization games of all time has significantly changed and evolved. And that is it, folks. Okay, Jen is back at it once more. We're about to head around the corner to Santa's Pack at the rate she's going. And I've been a very, very lazy co-paddler. So I'm going to put all this away, and if nothing, I've been a backseat paddler, or driver. So anyway, folks, boom. There's the playlist. You know what to do. Everything I just talked about is there, or links down in the show notes. Also, subscribe, back on Patreon, all the normal things. But folks, Jen has been very patient. I'm sure her arms are burning, and now mine are going to too. See ya next week.